Hello future CS, welcome back to my channel again. Your one-stop guide for everything related to CA exams. So in today's video, I am breaking down the ICAI webinar insights for CA Inter Income Tax Law. So you know exactly what to focus on and how to score better in exams. So if you want to turn your preparation into marks, this video is just for you. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe for more CA exam related guidance, tips and strategies. So guys, when you visit my channel, do check out the playlist section. You will find several curated playlists for the CA Inter exam. Make sure to explore them and watch the videos in order to get maximum benefit from each of the topics. So first in this webinar, the chapter wise marks and weightages were revealed. So let's go through that first. So in section 1 we have two chapters, that is basic concept and residential status and scope of total income. So the weightage for this will be 10% to 20%. And the marks allocated for these two chapters together are 6 marks to 8 marks. Then we have section 2. This comprises of the heads of the income and the provisions governing computation of income under different head. So the weightage for this is 25% to 30%. And the marks allotted for this is 14 marks to 18 marks. Then we have section 3. So these comprises of chapter 4 income of other person included in assessee's total income. Then aggregation of income, set off, carry forward of losses. Then chapter 6 deduction from gross total income. So the weightage for this is 15 to 20% and the marks allocated are 8 marks to 12 marks. Then we have section number 4. This comprises of chapter 7 advanced tax, TDS and TCS and chapter number 8 provisions for filing return of income and self-assessment. So the weightage for this is 15% to 20%. And the marks allotted are 8 marks to 12 marks. Then we have the last section, that is section 5, which comprises of chapter 9, income tax liability, computation and optimization. So the weightage for this is 20 to 25% and the marks allotted are 15 marks. So this section comprises of the highest weightage and the compulsory question. So in the income tax law part, the first question, which is the compulsory question, that will come from this section itself. So basically it will be a question relating to computation of total income and income tax payable by an individual under the alternative tax regime. So you might be asked to compute the tax payable under both the regimes and you might be asked as to under which regime if the assessee files the return, it will lead to optimum tax liability. So there you have to give an appropriate conclusion. You have to show the computation under both the regimes and you have to give your conclusion as to which regime the assessee should opt for. So apart from this section 5, the next section with highest weightage is section number 2. So that is heads of income. So section 2 and section 5, these both section comprises of the chapters with the highest weightage. Now going ahead with the summary of this webinar. So some key tips were given. So usually this first compulsory question, which is of 15 marks, it will be a bit tricky question. So it is better to allocate more time for this first question. So it was suggested that you should allocate approximately 27 minutes for this question. So most of the times it was noted in the past attempts that many students took like more than 27 minutes, like they took 40 minutes for this question. So what happened was then they did not have sufficient time for the other questions. So it was suggested that do not attempt this question first. First you attempt the other questions and then you can come to this question. So out of the remaining questions, whichever question you know the best, first you attempt that question and then you can write this question. And suppose you do not know answer to any question, you can leave some blank space for that and come back to it later on. Like don't spend much time on one question itself. Like even after spending few minutes, if you are not remembering the answer, just leave some space and then you can come back to it later on. Next, some presentation tips were given. So first, the presentation tips were given especially for the first compulsory question. So most of the times in the first compulsory question, you will be asked to compute the total income or the total income and also the income tax payable by an assessee. So while solving this question, what you have to do is, as we are aware, there are 5 heads of income, right? Salaries, then income from house property, profits and gains from business or profession, capital gain, and income from other sources. So you should follow the same sequence while answering the questions, especially relating to this computation of gross total income or total income or tax payable. So if the questions require you to compute the total income or tax liability under both the regimes, compute the total income under the default tax regime first and take the total income under the default regime as the base and then make the adjustment to it to compute the total income under the optional tax regime. So first preference has to be given to the default tax regime, and it is very important to follow this sequence of different heads of income. And it was suggested that read the question carefully, whether they are asking you to compute just the total income or they are asking you for gross total income or tax liability, whether they are asking under both the regimes. So read the question carefully and then only answer. Then some general presentation tips were given. So the answer in this income tax paper should be based on the relevant provisions of the Income Tax Act. So it is necessary to substantiate the answers with the proper working notes or reasoning, especially in case of the computational problem, that is the descriptive part. So it was advised to follow the presentation as given in the study material. Also write the answer to the point, that is in accordance with the requirement of the question. And also one more thing is, if you remember the section number correctly, only then write it. Quoting the section number will definitely add value to your answer, but do not quote the wrong section number. If you do not remember the section numbers, better not to write it at all, because if you write wrong section number, there are chances of losing marks. And one more important thing suggested was, as the provisions of the income tax law are subject to different interpretations, so each law can be interpreted in a different manner. So there are a possibility of alternate view of tax treatment for a particular item of income or expense. So in case in the question there is any ambiguity and you have to take any assumption relating to any particular item, ensure that the assumption is logical and it should be clearly stated as a part of your answer. Ensure that your assumption is reasonable and also ensure that it is within the framework of the law. Do not make any vague assumption. Back up your assumption with the proper provisions of the law. And also you can write the assumption as the part of the working notes. And one more important point suggested was, in each question there will be different subparts, right? So answer all the subparts one after another itself. Like in question number 3, if there are 3 subparts A, B and C, it is better to answer all the 3 subparts at one place itself. Don't answer 3A, then 2B, then again come to 3C. Don't do like that. Suppose you are answering question number 3 and there are 3 subparts A, B and C. First answer subpart 3A. Then if suppose you do not know the answer for subpart 3B, leave one page for that and then answer subpart 3C. And later on when you remember, you can come back and write the answer for this. And one more important suggestion from presentation viewpoint is, it is better to start each answer and each subpart from a separate sheet. And also one more thing is, for time management purpose, allocate estimated time for each question based on their difficulty level and marks carried. And also it is very important to keep aside 10 to 15 minutes for revision purpose. So when you are revising, if you come across any error, you can correct that. Or if you have left any question, you can write that. You can answer that in this last 10-15 minutes. And as I mentioned earlier, the answer should be precise and to the point. So please read the question carefully and answer in commensuration with the marks the question carries. So that's it guys. This was the complete summary of the ICAI webinar. If you found this video helpful and informative, please like the video. and share the video, and also subscribe to my channel for more CA exam related strategies, updates and guidance. All the best with your preparation. I will see you all in the next video. Please stay tuned to my channel for more such ICAI summaries.